It's not a secret how much free quality information Wager Talk, Sports Moma, and the Gold Sheet produce. And next up, we're giving out the Wager Talk College Basketball Guide. This might be the most informative collection of sports betting info we've ever produced. We're covering returning starters, offensive, defensive, and tempo rankings, recruiting rankings, head coaching info and background, and so much more. Even if you are the casual basketball fan, head over to the Ralph Michaels page and download this amazing guide for free.
All right, here we go. We are up and we are ready to rock and roll as I cannot believe it here, guys. It is December 30th. Believe it or not here, December 30th, just a couple of days away from the new year, the 2021 calendar year. We're excited here at WagerTalk.com. And yes, I know, I see that. So hold on, let me get rid of that for us. Has that? I believe that should take it away. Gotta love technical difficulties. And good, now I don't have to hear myself 3 times. Bottom line, 2021, just about 48 hours away. Loaded today in college basketball. We are looking at, I believe, 40 games on tap. We've got about a half a dozen already, or getting ready as of this right now to get going. We've got you covered on 4. And what a panel we got for you today. And by the way, well, go ahead. I'll throw up the good-looking panel here first, which will give you their Twitter handle so you can see what you guys are in for here today. We've got Tony Mejia. We've got Dave Koken. We've got mid-major Matt of sportsmemo.com making a return visit. We didn't scare him away last time. Let's bring the real gentleman in here. And guys, great night of basketball last night. Even better day of basketball ahead of us here over the next 24 hours, heading into what is going to be a jam-packed weekend, no doubt. And Tony Mejia, yesterday was an interesting limited card. There were some interesting games there last night. But before we start talking about Tennessee, Missouri, your best bet here tonight, which is going to be a shock to those who are following the show. Talk to me about what you got going on at Wager Talk today, and then give me some of your thoughts on what you witnessed there last night.
Well, I am one of those people that is like, and I guarantee you, Koken and Matt are the same way, where they don't really bother with the wins. They obsess about the losses. So I went 5-1 or something yesterday with a college basketball pick. Personally, I didn't even put it on the site. The college football game was Texas over Colorado, so that was a no sweat. We had Orlando and the Clippers both cover, and I had the over 226 in the Clippers game, which ended at 225. Yeah. So I only care about my losses. I'm one of those people that like obsesses and wallows in his misery. So fine with that. We'll ride back tonight. I'm really doing different things with the NBA this season just because I don't really care about the spreads. I'm taking the same rationale that I'm doing with college football, where normally you would be shopping for the best line. I can't do that. I have to know who's playing and how that's going to go about. So, for the most part, just waiting till the last second, sales be damned. Just hoping for the best. I do have a 5% play in Oklahoma and Florida, which I got up early, and I saw that line move the way it did. But we'll keep it a secret as to what I'm seeing there. Look, it's great. 2020 is almost over. God bless my family; it's all healthy, so I can't complain.
Absolutely, man, and we're certainly happy that you became part of the family here in 2020. And Mr. Koken, I know you got you're loaded up at Wager Talk first and foremost. I know you got your 5% play coming up this week in college football. Guys, I don't need to tell you about Dave's record when it comes to his 5% plays in football. It's ridiculous. He also has, though, a 3-pack of college basketball games up at Wager Talk right now for just $19. And Dave, it was an interesting night last night, but the card here today, a lot of these first-time conference games, we're going to talk about one of them with Tennessee and Missouri, SEC opener for both of these. A lot's yet to be determined here in college basketball.
Oh, they're not? It's done? Ugh.
No, that's yeah. No, I'm sorry, man. I completely lost you in my headset there, so I didn't hear a damn thing you said. But that's okay. Bottom line is we're going to talk about Tennessee and Missouri. Well, that's all right. That's what we're doing this for here, man. Making sure that we can all get on the same damn page. Bottom line, 5% play in a 3-pack of games, which may not include Tennessee. I'm telling you that right now, guys. Matt Josephs, welcome in. Now, listen, Matt, you've been starting off of air. You've been itching about a certain game here that we're going to talk about coming up. I'm not going to give it away, but you might be privy to some information about an upcoming game that we'll break down. But welcome back, my friend. How's it been going since the last time we spoke with you here?
Well, we're in action right now. I had some information this morning on the St. Joe VCU game posted on Twitter that I like the team total under for St. Joe. Got it 73.5. It fell all the way down to 68.5, some 67.5. So we beat the move there. Of course, St. Joe starts out shooting like 90% from the field. They've cooled off tremendously, so we're sweating a team total under to start the day out. But it's been going well. Yesterday went 1-1 in college basketball. Hit the first half over with in the Iowa game. But lost the Northwestern team total by half a point. I had 72.5. Of course, it landed at 72. So that was very frustrating considering they scored, I think, 3 points the last 3 minutes. But very interesting day yesterday, and looking forward to getting into these games today.
Yep, 40 of them to go here, guys. Off and running. VCU, St. Joe's, George Washington acting like the Lakers here, just destroying Fordham right now. And the games that we're going to talk about: Arkansas, Auburn, Seton Hall, Xavier, Richmond, Davidson. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we want to get to in today's actions. Interesting matchups for sure. Also, want to let you guys know as 2020 comes to an end, a great opportunity for you guys to take advantage of a New Year's resolution special at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. That being, of course, a 3-month all-access pass to any of these gentlemen here right now. And you will get 3 months for free. That's right. So buy 3, get 3 for free coming up right now. WagerTalk.com. Just check it out at the New Year's resolution special. And this is all sports across every landscape. You name it, you've got it. 6 months coming your way for the price of 3. Let's talk here, Matt Joseph. I'm going to start to you. Let's talk. Go ahead, David. Sure, go ahead. I just saw that, yes.
You're more important than the men, Dave.
It's the women's team.
It's the women's team. Yeah, no problem. It was so funny, Dave, because when I'm looking at it and it's popping up and I see the W and I'm like, oh, is that the women? Maybe it's the women. You were right. There is a program at Tennessee canceling their start to their Season 2 games. Just happens to be the Tennessee women here. But let me ask Matt Josephs, because I know you got information, or at least you've got to lean one way or the other on this game. Talk to me about this Richmond game coming up here I believe, what is it, 5 o'clock? What time is this game set to start here?
It's 7 o'clock Eastern.
7 o'clock. All right, so talk to us here about this Richmond game against Davidson on the road. The Richmond Spiders number. It's been fluctuating back and forth, 1.5. I've seen some 2s down to 1. Where do you land on this game here tonight with the Richmond Spiders and the Davidson team?
So, as somebody who's very familiar with the Richmond program, this is a team that has had some interesting battles with Davidson throughout the years. They swept them last year, and the irony was one of those games was without Blake Francis, who is one of their better guards. And look, the Spiders run a modified Princeton system with a pretty solid defense that has struggled at times. Look, they gave up 76 to Hofstra last time out. They gave up 73 to Loyola Chicago. I mean, they need to tighten some things up defensively. And you watch that Wofford game way back earlier this month. The Wofford just bombed away from three-point land. But Richmond's just such an efficient offense. You know, they get these cuts, and Grant Golden is such a good guy to put at the top of the key, and he's always good at passing the ball off, and yet he can get those buckets inside. And, you know, throughout the years, last couple of years, they just match up well with Davidson. You know, this is a Wildcats team that relies heavily on a couple of guys. Look, I love the Lee kid for them. Now, you know, watching him last year in his freshman season, you could see the potential. And of course, Kellen Grady is Kellen Grady. But the question is, what can their ancillary pieces do? You know, Carter Collins runs the offense, and Bragovic, who last year was in foul trouble quite a bit against Richmond, he's important because he's the size that's going to go up against Grant Golden on the inside. I always lean to the Spiders in this game. I know that McKillop's got the coaching edge over Chris Mooney here, but there's not a home court advantage. The Spiders are able to get whatever they want offensively, it feels like, against this Davidson team, and they're healthy right now. Tyler Burton joining the starting lineup for the Spiders this year is huge, and he adds an athleticism that they just didn't have on the inside. So to me, I lean to the Spiders here. I was very surprised when this line opened where it did, and yeah, to see it fluctuating as much as it does, to me, it seems like Richmond is the play tonight.
Little A10 matchup here, Dave Koken. I got to tell you, that loss to Hofstra had a few people scratching their head about this Richmond team here. But how do you have these two matching up here tonight at such a small number?
Yeah, I think you may be catching a little bit of value on the Richmond side here based on the results of the last couple of games for each team. Richmond blows the lead to Hofstra in the second half and loses that game. And Davidson coming off a couple of nice wins, beating Rhode Island and then hammering Vanderbilt. So maybe a point or two adjustment in the number that wouldn't have been there previously, and that would point a little bit toward the Spiders. Richmond does have to contend with the fact that Davidson is going to play at a very slow tempo. That's what this Wildcats team is playing, super slow. Their adjusted tempo is even slower than it was last year. They're a very patient team, and Richmond can't get impatient here. They do like to push the ball a little bit, but I think Richmond's a pretty well-coached team, and coming off a game where they really didn't play well defensively, I think you'll see a better effort. Not a play for me, but I would side with Richmond here.
I got to ask you there, Tony Mejia. It's funny. Richmond, very consistent. It just seems like they're going to score in the 70s. Win or lose, it just seems like they're always in the 70s, right? So when you look at this Davidson team here, where we've seen them, I think they're lost to Charlotte. They only had 52 points. We've seen them be able to rattle off some points. Where do you have these two teams matched up, even from a total standpoint tonight?
That's my play, is the total. And I don't know if I'll touch this, but I'll talk about it. It's 141 at the open, now 142. Some people still have 141s. So I like the over, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so we have a team that obviously is able to execute very well in Richmond. Whether they're going slow or whether they're going fast, it's still an offense predicated on back cuts and whatnot that can execute and has proven it. Okay, Davidson played a 78-76 game against Texas. Shaka Smart, whether you know that he's going to press you, bottom line is that's a great defensive team. They played a 63-62 game against Providence, a 63-52 game against the slowed down team in Charlotte, a 67-58 game against Rhodey, which typically wants to go up tempo. So it's one of those teams, and they're coming off an 85-65 win over Vanderbilt, that I think you can trust Davidson to execute offensively. And I actually had somebody, a client, say, "What is game extension?" And I did a long-winded explanation of what game extension is, where you're sitting there and as a coach, you basically say to yourself, inside 2 minutes, what do I have to do to try to get this result with the fouling, with the pressing, with the whatnot? And that's where you get 20 points in a minute and a half.
Mm.
So long-winded answer short, I like the over in this game. I think it's going to be close enough to where Davidson chases it, and give me the over. Again, I don't even know. Davidson can steal this game. Richmond's very talented. I like the over.
Yep, it's certainly going to be interesting watching that one. And we told you guys a couple of very interesting matchups here tonight. And I'll turn to you, Dave Koken, here for the first one. when we take a look at Mr. Bruce Pearl and Mr. Eric Musselman there. Arkansas taking on Auburn here tonight. And this game, I opened up at -3. Of course, the total hovering around in the mid-140s, 145. We're seeing 2.5s now for Arkansas. Arkansas has been impressive. Not sure that they've actually played anybody, but they've looked pretty good so far this year on what amounts to pretty much a new team. A whole lot of transfers there in Arkansas. How much do you trust this Auburn team to get the job done tonight?
Well, Auburn is starting to round into form. They had basically an all-new team, and they looked terrible early on. But number one, losing by 23 to Gonzaga might not be such a bad thing as we look back on it now. And a couple of their other games, they managed to find ways to win them. So Pearl's got them moving in the right direction. I do like what Arkansas has in terms of talent. I think Musselman's got a really, really good squad in the making here, but they really have not been tested at all yet. The best team they faced was in their last game, which was Abilene Christian. And Abilene Christian's a nice team, but, let's face it, they're not exactly an SEC level. So this is going to have to be a wait and see for me. I really couldn't come up with anything in this game because, to me, there's just too much of an unknown quantity with Arkansas right now. I think they're going to be very good, but I don't know if they're quite good enough yet. If I had to play the game, I'd take Arkansas because I think they've just got more talent than Auburn. But again, they have not been tested. It's on the road. Not really a situation I like. Teams played 8 straight home games and now traveling. They haven't even had a neutral court game yet. Really don't like situations like that. So it's really a strong pass for me.
Listen, the Razorbacks have done a pretty good job of taking care of their non-conference schedule, not really playing anybody. This is going to be a real test for them. And, Matt, I'll ask you, Bruce Pearl, you lose 5 starters from last year's program. And like Dave mentioned, took a little while for them to put it together, but this is going to be their biggest, this is going to be the biggest test for Arkansas here. But how much do you trust this Auburn Tigers team?
I never trust Auburn. I enjoy fading Auburn whenever I can, and I enjoy playing the over in Auburn games because their style is just, throw 3-pointers up and then just run. There's kind of this helter-skelter kind of style that they play with. But I think this game's going to show me a lot about Arkansas. You just talked about it. Look at their non-conference schedule: Mississippi Valley State, North Texas, or UT Arlington, Lipscomb. It's a who's who of 4th-tier, 5th-tier teams. And, yeah, you look at their KenPom numbers and everything looks hunky-dory, but they played nobody. And, look, Arkansas is a very good team. I like the Moody kid. They've got some good players, but I want to see them play a game like this on the road. And, of course, the Auburn, you look at the Auburn, the same. They've gotten healthy on Texas Southern, Troy, and Appalachian State. They did beat Memphis, but it depends on what you actually think of Memphis. I'm not as high on Memphis. Clearly, their offense isn't very good. They're barely beating South Florida at home. So this is a definite show-me-something game, and I kind of lean to the over here. The problem with Auburn is their free throw shooting, 61% as a team. If this thing does get close and they have to salt away a victory, poor free throw shooting will keep Arkansas in the game. So I do like the over here. I think both teams will play with some pace, and I want to see what each of them actually do against real competition.
Auburn, Tony Mejia, I believe, the 331st ranked team in terms of experience. They are young, make no mistake about it here. At home as a dog in this spot. How do you like them here tonight?
You can only play the over here, period. And, where's Chuma Okeke? He's in the NBA. Where's Isaac Okoro? He's in the NBA. Those are their best 2 wing defenders over the past 2 seasons by a lot. And now you're facing a team that's going to push at all costs. Like, they held Southern to 44 points. They held Lipscomb to 50. Central Arkansas was 100 to 75. Oral Roberts was 87 to 76. So you really see that. And Muss, I love Muss. Musselman, we follow each other on Twitter. I wrote a column on him years ago, and we became really good friends. Well, I wouldn't say really good, but friends. And that guy knows what he's going to do and what he wants to accomplish this early in an SEC season is to get his guys confident. So we got Moses Moody as the number 1 player on the entire team. And you're going to want to take that situation, especially where you've played all these home games, and build confidence to in a road arena, knowing that you're going to play all these SEC games down the road. The bottom line is you're not going to see slowdown tactics, not from us. So, Bruce Pearl, can he steal this game? Absolutely. With a new core playing at home, but will he steal a low-scoring game? I don't think so. So give me the over all day long. I think both teams hit the 80s, and if I put a gun to my head, I think Arkansas wins, but I like the over better.
Listen, youth and that kind of speed on Auburn, they ranked 276th in turnover rate this season. Mistakes, turning the ball over. Arkansas is licking its chops right now, waiting for that to happen here tonight. So I tend to agree with you on the over. The game that I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait to hear Dave on this game, is a team that Dave and I have both talked about early on this year. It took them a little while to get started, but Tennessee here, the Volunteers taking on Missouri, a battle of the unbeaten in the SEC. It's going to be center stage. And the Missouri Tigers, Dave, listen, they escaped 1 second left, right? A tough run-in with Bradley. They managed to get it done. Tennessee laying a short number here at -3. I think we both agreed. Nobody talks enough about Tennessee on defense, but this is an impressive team. How do you think they stack up against Missouri?
Well, I didn't handicap the game because, as I explained at the top of the show, I screwed up and thought the men's team was the ones with the postponement, and it's the women's team. So I'm not just going to pull stuff out of the top of my head as far as this game is concerned. All I'll say is that what I've said about Tennessee all season is what you just said. I think defensively they might be as good a team as there is in the country, and we'll see if Missouri can contend with that. I think Tennessee's a better team, but I'm not going to give you an opinion on the game because I just didn't handicap it. So, I'll leave it to the other guys.
I still think there's some value there to be had in the market on Tennessee, and I'll go to you, Matt. Talk to me here with the situation. Some teams it takes a little while for the market to adjust. I don't think they've adjusted on Tennessee yet. How do you see this game laying out?
Well, I mean, it's somewhat of a common theme for what we've talked about here on the show. I mean, Tennessee, once again, it depends on what you think about Cincinnati and Colorado. Tennessee, hasn't left home, and they've beaten up on teams they're supposed to beat up on. I mean, everybody's putting up 80-plus points on St. Joe and Tennessee Tech and USC Upstate. I mean, you could argue. I mean, I was on the show, I believe, the last Wednesday when we had this, and you guys were talking about how they should put up 100 on USC Upstate, and they only scored 80. I think Tennessee's a very good basketball team. But when you look over at Missouri, who's already beaten Oregon, who's already beaten Illinois. Now, look, Missouri's still got their faults. They're not a good three-point shooting team. They don't force any turnovers on defense. So there are some issues for them. But, I mean, they've been tested so far this year. I think it's a closer game. I think the under comes into play here because Missouri doesn't much pace, and certainly Tennessee doesn't play with much pace. And I think you could find some value here potentially on the under. But everybody's jumping on Tennessee, and, yeah, they may eventually be very good. But let me see them, A, leave their own building, and B, play somebody that has some talent, and they're certainly going to do that tonight.
I don't know. I mean, Tony Mejia, it's not like South Carolina Upstate ain't a contender here. I don't know what he's talking about, Matt Joseph. How do you see this team, Tennessee, lining up against the darn good Missouri Tiger teams, to Matt's point, who might have had been tested a little bit more than Tennessee has?
I mentioned in the beginning of the show, like, you can gloss over my victories. Losses, I take personally. I watched that SC Upstate game. They had that guard making like 5 threes when he hit 3 all season. And so I watched that game. SC Upstate covered very easily. Tennessee was never in the neighborhood of covering 30 plus. That being said, I'm very much in agreement with Matt on this. To me, this is an underplay. The Tigers are 6-0. They come off a 54-53 win over Bradley. Bradley's played everybody tough. Missouri did what they needed to beat Illinois in the bragging rights game. That is one of the most impressive wins of the season. And it's going to come down to rebounding in this game. You have Tillman, you have Kobe, you've got guys that legitimately rebound the ball very well for Missouri that are going to stop runouts. And Tennessee's offense, to me, I think when they're flowing, they're turning you over and getting out in transition, or they're rebounding the ball and getting out in transition. So I think Missouri will solve half of those things just by presence alone and size, by rebounding the ball well. think this is going to be one of those games that comes down to the wire. So give me the under on it all day long.
Yeah, last three meetings head-to-head, of course, have gone rather easily on the Tennessee side. So it's going to be a fun game to watch here tonight. But I do want to remind you guys before we jump on some of our best bets, we got one more game that we want to break down for you. But I do want to remind you right now at WagerTalk.com, these guys, all three of them, have opportunities to profit not only here tonight, but certainly this weekend. We invite you, go to their pages at WagerTalk. In fact, take advantage of what's happening right now, the New Year's resolution special. We're talking about getting a 3-month all-access pass to any of your favorite handicappers here at Wager Talk, either Sports Memo or Wager Talk. Get 3, and you'll get 3 more. That's 6 months worth of all access, every play, every sport from these gentlemen for the price of 3. It does not get any better than that. We told you, Dave's got a 3-pack of games up there right now that you guys can take advantage of for $19. Matt's, of course, when it comes to prop bets, and college football and the bowls of what's happening with Tony. Go check out their pages, guys. It does not get any better than that. 3 months all access. Buy 3, get 3 right now. Take advantage of it at WagerTalk.com. Let's talk Seton Hall Xavier here, guys. And Dave, I'll go to you here. Xavier certainly been impressive from what we have seen for them. We're looking at -2.5, -3s out there, total 144. 7 o'clock here tonight. Seton Hall kind of been up and down. Who do you trust more in this spot right now to be able to get the victory, Xavier or Seton Hall?
I think this is a heck of a game. It's as good as any game on the schedule tonight. Seton Hall is just always tough. Willard does a good job with this team. They found a way to replace Powell from last year. I mean, nobody was going to actually replace him, but the parts are starting to come together for Seton Hall. Xavier's off their worst game of the season. It's as simple as that. They had Creighton down big early in that game. I mean, it looked like a complete runaway. Xavier was up 13 early in the game, and they just fell apart. They got outscored 37-14 after they led by 13, and that was the end of the game. At that point, that's a really bad stretch, and that's Xavier's first loss of the season. But see, I have not been as high on Xavier as some coming into this season. So for me, I'm not all that shocked that they went bad in that game, and I don't know that they're going to bounce back that quickly. I'm just not sold on this. They're a decent team. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see Xavier as being anywhere near the top 25. And some people are starting to talk about them being at that level. You know, wins over Oklahoma, win over Marquette, win over Cincinnati, a decent win, 1-point win over Bradley, which is a quality team. I think they got a little overrated, and I'm not sure the line has caught up yet. I think Seton Hall might be the slightly better team here. Toss up, lean Seton Hall.
All right, love it. Tony, I'll go to you, my friend. Tony Mehere, WagerTalk.com. How do you have these two teams matched up? It is sort of a toss-up in a lot of different angles here. Don't know what to expect. What do you think you're going to see tonight?
Well, I frustratingly watched that Xavier Creighton game. It was one of the most annoying games of the season. Almost went to overtime. Pace was what it needed to be to get over 150, whatever it was. And, just everybody missed shots. So Xavier Creighton ended up going Creighton's way. No harm there in Omaha. I mean, I think you do look at it as Xavier had its chances to continue undefeated. But now you're facing a Seton Hall team that is so veteran laden. Sandro Mamashkelis-Philly, Jared Roden, Miles Kale, Shavar Reynolds, like all those guys are upperclassmen. They're not going to let you come in and get this victory. So I'm totally in agreement with Koken in that my lean is Seton Hall. I don't think this line is high enough, and I'm going to lay the points.
Matt,
I want to jump in and I'll include Matt with this question. How much do you factor in that size advantage that Seton Hall has? I mean, if Xavier likes to play physical basketball, I don't know if that works against Seton Hall because the Pirates are a lot bigger than they are.
Matt?
I mean, you're right. Yeah, certainly. And you look at the, in terms of the physical basketball, I mean, I don't put too much into it. The thing that I'm interested in for Xavier is, and they've had a week, I'm interested to see them start use Ben Stanley more. The Hampton transfer has only played in 2 games, and he's played very little in both games. And I think he could be a key piece for Xavier. So if they could start, using this week to figure out how to use him, because he scored a bunch of points and was a very good scorer. Now, granted, it was the MEAC, but I liked what he brought to Hampton. And then on the Seton Hall side, I mean, when you see Seton Hall score 78 on Georgetown and Sandra only had 2 points, I mean, that's a scary proposition that Roden and Cal were able to carry Seton Hall. I think Seton Hall has more threats. And of course, obviously, Bryce Aiken, they're still working him in with his 4 games that he's played so far. Seton Hall's the deeper team. I lean to Seton Hall, though, but I mean, as everybody else has said, it's pretty much a toss-up here. I, like Dave, have not been as impressed with Xavier as everybody else. So that's kind of why I lean to Seton Hall in this matchup.
Yep. Taking the points and going with what could be the bigger and better team at the end of the night. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great night of basketball there, guys, across the board. We broke down 4 games for you. We do have some best bets we want to get to, including one with our friends from the Gold Sheet. And Tony, we're going to go ahead and put this up. Portland against Seattle. You, not sure if you had a hand in this one here tonight, my friend, but Ralph Michaels, of course, will post this right up for you guys on his Twitter page at CalSportsLV. So, Tony, I'll ask you, Portland, Seattle, you here with the Gold Sheets.
This is a Bruce Marshall special. Bruce is fantastic, and he really likes this game as his favorite. And I think he loaded 5. So from that standpoint, I did see it. My pick is my best bet, which I rated 10 in our rating system that we do. But yeah, his favorite play of the night is, and I'm looking at it right now, it's Seattle 79, Portland 68. Does not like Portland and its 6-2 record. And Seattle's okay. I mean, like, I honestly have watched him play only once, so I don't have a huge opinion on this. He went strictly mid-majors, and I went with the higher conference game. So I'll come in with my UCF and Tulane pick here in a second. But the Pilots come off an 80-41 loss at Oregon. Maybe they're not very good. We'll see how resilient they are.
Certainly pretty good at covering Seattle at home, 5 of the last 7. Both of these teams met to open the season, I believe, as well, and Seattle handled their business by 12 points there. Let me go to you, Dave. We'll start with some of our best bets here tonight around the horn. A quick reminder, Dave's got a 3-pack of college hoops games up right now at Wager Talk, $19. Just got to go there, get the package, get it in before those games tip off. And what else you looking at here tonight, Dave?
A game that interests me tonight. UMass is a team I like coming into this season, and I'm not the only one who had some high expectations. They've been, I won't say a flop because they're 2-2, but they've been a little bit of a disappointment. They split with Northeastern, beat LaSalle, and then lost just an extremely high tempo game with Bryant. And I had Bryant in that game, so I was not terribly surprised at the result. I think they get the right kind of a matchup tonight against George Mason. George Mason appears to be a team that will play at whatever tempo the other team wants to play at. And that means that this game should be fast if UMass has their way. I don't think George Mason is particularly well equipped for that tempo. I don't like their depth, and I just don't think they're very good. So maybe UMass with a chance to get things started here. They've had 9 days off since the Bryant game. I think that game might have been, a shot in the arm for them in terms of, hey, we got to wake up and play some defense. And, it's okay to run, but you got to defend too. I think they're going to have a good game tonight. Didn't make my card, but I don't go real deep on my cards. 3 games is about the max for me, and that's what I played tonight. But if I had a 4th game, I think this probably would be it. I'll take UMass minus the 5.5.
Hitting the click button as we speak there, Dave. Excellent. Let me go to Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. Matt, talk to us. What game tonight are you looking at?
By the way, I agree. Trey Mitchell's a beast. He's arguably one of the best players in the A10. I looked at UMass tonight, certainly, and George Mason's offense is absolutely hideous. I'm looking at Georgia Tech tonight. This North Carolina team, they're going to go up against a lot of zone tonight, which works well in one respect that UNC is shooting 25.6% from three-point land. That's 311th in the country. You look at that backcourt, and Caleb Love is 4 of 34 from three-point range. Leaky Black is 2 of 11. Now, look, the problem with the zone is that they're going to get out-rebounded, and you've got all those beasts inside, Brooks and Baycott and Sharp and stuff like that. So that's a problem for me. But I don't know what I've seen from North Carolina to basically trust them away from home in this matchup. Georgia Tech, you're getting some value here on a Georgia Tech team that has some head-scratching losses. The Georgia State loss, the Mercer loss. But they've figured some things out. I don't love Josh Pastner as a head coach. I've had some interactions with him, and he's not exactly the easiest guy to talk to. But I like their offense. There's veteran guys where they have to. Moses Wright can hold his own on the inside, and we're getting points here. So I think there's a chance Georgia Tech wins outright. But if they don't, we're getting 3.5 here. So I like the Yellow Jackets 3.5.
All right, love it. Tony Mejia, come on, man, lay it on us. Who you going with tonight?
Well, first of all, Leaky is a suspect nickname. So I don't know who would ever accept that. That's suspect in its own right. I love Georgia Tech tonight. It's one of my gold cheat write-ups. The other one I'm going to give you in a second. But yes, I took Georgia Tech. I almost think that odds makers looked at that line and said, "All right, Carolina's in Atlanta. You got to favor them. They're favored by 3. Done." And no, Tech wins outright. So I'm completely in agreement with Joseph's. I like UCF tonight, and it's not a homer pick. I already told you yesterday. I had Houston against the Knights in Orlando in a nationally televised game. I don't think UCF has been on ABC ever, except for football. So when I say this, I'm looking at it, and interestingly enough, Koken mentioned that his number was way higher than I had it. Ralph Michaels loves this pick as well. He called me before the show on it. I'm looking at UCF. It's a very young team. Like, honestly, this is not any team that UCF has had over the last couple of years. We had Taco Fall for 4 years. And then we had a kind of a bridge season. And now Brandon Mahan as the transfer from Texas A&M getting eligible, playing such a big role. We have a true freshman, Isaiah Adams, playing an immense role. Other guys that are in this group, shooters that have to get hot to be really productive, but can do that and beat Florida State. We're in the mix against Houston to the point where they were up early. I think the Cougars are untouchable in the AAC, but I think this UCF squad is legitimate. So when I saw a 10-point spread when it probably should have been 8, and I understand that all these guys have different numbers on this, like if you're going to catch both sides of action and you're an odds maker, I don't think you put 10 on this game unless you're like, I'm maxing it out. If you bet UCF minus 10, God bless you. So that's what I'm doing. Betting UCF minus 10, God bless you. I think they win by 15 plus.
Love it. All right. I'm going to lean Belmont here tonight, guys, too, in a big conference battle of the Ohio Valley at Belmont. I just think Belmont too much. Second year now for Casey Alexander, 26-7 last year. It's a team that plays fundamentally sound basketball. Murray State is not this year. It's a small number, laying 2. I think it should be closer to 4 or 5. So I'm going to lay the 2 tonight with Belmont against Murray State at home. Another reminder, guys, WagerTalk.com. Go there right now. It is Dave Koken. It is Matt Josephs at SportsMemo.com. And, of course, Tony Mejia at WagerTalk.com. Plays are up and ready to rock and roll. Take advantage of it, guys. Make sure you hit that little bell in the upper right-hand corner. And, of course, subscribe to the channel here at YouTube. Come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll throw up the recaps here in case you guys are just joining us and missing it. But on behalf of Tony Mejia, Dave Koken, and Matt Josephs, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with your plays. We'll be back again tomorrow and do it all